Welcome to Tomorrow's World Today, a show dedicated to the discovery of innovation and cutting-edge technology to be featured in the Park of the Future. The park includes 4 worlds. The worlds are inspiration, creation, innovation, and production. Each one will showcase the latest developments from the greatest companies and smartest people in the world. This is Inventionland World Headquarters. Here now is George Davison.
So Tamara, I've been thinking about money.
Well, that's good, because you are designing a very big amusement park, and someone's got to keep track of the budget on this thing.
Well, I have been, and I will, but I'm thinking more along the lines of our future. It sure seems like the very definition of money is changing right before our very eyes. I don't know if I'm going to see Benjamin on the front of a $100 bill in the future.
Well, I'm not really the betting type, but I do think that cash is going to play less and less of a role. I mean, I appreciate cold, hard cash just as much as anyone, but I am fascinated by cryptocurrency.
I'd like to find out more about this cryptocurrency stuff.
Okay, well, I'm just starting to learn about it, but I have a buddy who's really into this stuff, so let me see if I can get a hold of him and maybe he can explain the basics.
That'd be great.
Hey, John.
Hey, guys.
So I'm sitting here with George, my boss.
Hi, John.
And we were talking cryptocurrency, so I was hoping you could give him just, kind of a basic understanding of it.
It's really quite simple. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency for which encryption techniques are used to regulate its use and generate its release.
John, is there something you could use to help explain it that we're maybe a little more familiar with?
Sure. It's a lot like Wikipedia. Because it's open source, it's regulated by the community that operates it. Just how Wikipedia is not regulated by traditional news sources, cryptocurrency is not regulated by the traditional banking systems.
John, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, George, does that give you kind of a basic understanding now? Good place to start from?
I think I'm starting to get a little more, but I've got my doubts. The whole idea of it not being regulated, I think that's going to be a real security issue.
What if we go to an entity for a little more exploration about financial wellness and technology? A place that you kind of are familiar with already, like maybe FICO?
Oh, that would be good. I like FICO.
All right, well, I think I just figured out what my next mission is.
As usual, you're right on the money.
When it comes to exploring finance, there's only one place to go: New York City. Iconic movies like Wall Street, The Big Short, and Working Girl have made Manhattan synonymous with money for many of us. So I'm here today at the FICO offices. FICO is doing all kinds of interesting things with artificial intelligence and neural networks to help fight financial crime.
So now I'm gonna go find myself a Cape Crusader to talk to.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Very nice to see you.
Thanks. I am looking very forward to talking to a financial crime fighter.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, pleasure.
So tell me a little bit about the history of FICO.
So FICO is a company that's more than 60 years old, and we got our start developing analytic models that help provide a predictive business for credit lenders and an unbiased set of scores for consumers.
But now I understand that FICO is doing all kinds of interesting things with AI, artificial intelligence.
Absolutely, we are.
Okay, wait, hold on. Just making sure human, not artificial, just
100% human.
All right, so artificial intelligence, what exactly does that mean when it comes to finance?
So very simply, AI is essentially a computerized algorithm that will do some tasks at a superhuman level, which essentially means just better than the average sort of human that would try to, let's say, protect a consumer from financial crime.
And what kinds of things is FICO using AI for?
So we're using AI in the areas of financial fraud, which we've been doing for quite a long time, areas like cybersecurity, anti-money laundering, and even credit risk applications today.
Wait, so you guys are helping with figuring out money laundering?
Correct. Today, where if you look at money laundering, less than 1% is actually detected. It's almost a $2 trillion problem. It's really huge. Now we're seeing more and more artificial intelligence and machine learning being used to figure out what are those avenues where money flows in and out of banks and across countries.
I'm assuming there's not like a big red sign that suddenly goes off going, fraud alert, fraud alert. What does that actually look like?
Essentially what happens is every single financial transaction is receiving a score. That score is indicative of whether or not it's abnormal or not, or suspicious. And if that score is large enough, essentially a case gets generated, and then human analysts are going to work with that machine learning and AI to determine whether or not they should stop the transaction, talk to the individuals involved, and then try to protect the financial institution. When we score transactions, we spend a lot of time focused on creating very, very efficient algorithms that produce a score in about 10 milliseconds. That allows these financial institutions to react.
So let's talk hacking for a second. It seems like every other week we hear about some kind of new breach. What are we doing about hacking?
Unfortunately, the cyber criminals have as much access to the same artificial intelligence and machine learning as we do. So it's a constant arm war in terms of who has the very best algorithms to try to counteract these cyber attacks. And so we develop unique analytic algorithms that look for these abnormalities within this huge amount of data.
So in the never-ending attempt to combat fraud, if you get that call from your credit card provider saying, have you purchased X and is this a legitimate transaction? That's something called Falcon that you guys have, right?
Falcon is our fraud detection system. It was productized in the year 1992, so it's been around for more than 25 years, and it monitors more than 2.6 billion payment cards, credit cards and debit cards today.
That's a lot.
It was one of the founding technologies of using machine learning, specifically neural network models, to detect payment card fraud, which will produce a score, right, which is indicative of the likelihood that the transaction is fraudulent. The financial institution will take that and make a decision whether or not to contact that card holder and get confirmation about the transaction.
Got it. So the cybercrime fighting unit really is a combination of human ingenuity and machine learning working together.
Correct. There's a great interplay between the algorithms, right, and then all the creativity in terms of how to prevent the crime.
Got it.
So I've arranged for you to go visit one of our customers that can talk to you more about, how they use artificial intelligence and machine learning to protect themselves from financial crimes.
I'd ask if I was going to meet a robot while I'm over there, but you've made it clear that's not happening.
100% human, I think, yeah.
Great, thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Have a seat.
One of the reasons that I wanted to sit down with you was because I was over at FICO and they were telling me about Falcon, about how PNC deploys it.
We do. So generally, Falcon is the industry standard, and it's used for fraud detection at a transaction level. The volume of transactions are just so incredible that you can't look at it one by one. The 70 billion transactions that we would have annually, it's just too big a number.
And that's really where artificial intelligence comes in, because artificial intelligence continues to learn as opposed to a statistical model, which my understanding is just a little bit more stagnant.
So the statistical models that would be built remain relatively constant for several years. Things like Falcon and the fraud detection networks that we use with artificial intelligence, they can iterate several times a day if necessary. And that's very important because the fraudsters continue to modify their behaviors.
The fraudsters, it sounds like a girl group.
These guys they're innovative, right? And there's big money, so you really do need to be able to continue to learn day by day as their activities and their attempts to create fraud change over time.
When I was at FICO, we were sort of comparing it to having a superhero, and it sounds like we do need some superheroes to catch these fraudsters.
You really do, and it's a very daunting task, right? And the volume is so big, and we also are very concerned that we want to make sure your experience in using, for example, our credit cards, we don't want to decline you. That's a terrible experience. We also don't want to have it where it looks like we're asking you if every transaction is really yours. That gets to be so annoying and burdensome. So we want to make sure we've got the highest level of detection capability married with the lowest level of false positives possible so that we can work the accounts, ensure that we've got the right level of protection for the customer, but that we don't end up being such a friction point that they use somebody else's product.
So behind the scenes, you guys are taking care of it with increasingly intelligent artificial intelligence. Give me like the top 2 or 3 tips about what we as the consumer can do so that we can feel safe and protect ourselves.
Right. I think the best thing that consumers can do is pay attention to the service alerts that the financial institutions send out, review your statement on a monthly basis. But I don't think an incredible degree of vigilance is really required, but I think some level of vigilance and paying attention to it is probably getting increasingly more important in today's world.
So if you could look into a crystal ball, what's the thing that you're most excited about that's either on the horizon or that you'd want to see in this space?
I think in this space, it's really going to be more information sent with the transaction. For example, if you're using Apple Pay, I might make sure that your face was used as a biometric scan to authenticate you prior to you attempting that transaction. Those types of things, I think, will become ubiquitous. There's a greater ability to chew through these mounds and mounds of data. So it's pretty fascinating. The world is changing, the fraudsters change, consumer payment behavior changes. All of those pieces and parts make it where it's really a journey and not a destination. You never solve it, you simply continue to iterate against the changes and the evolution associated with it.
Well, thanks so much for breaking it down for me. You know, I have to say, I'm guessing I would confound your AI because over the last couple of months, I've been all over the US and Honduras shooting the show.
You know what? We've got something called transactional velocity that looks at spending in multiple geographies, and then we do some algorithms to test whether or not you could actually travel that quickly.
I would not bet against my crew. They get pretty far, pretty fast. The next step in my journey of investigating the intersection of technology and money has brought me to Berwyn, Pennsylvania. I'm here to check out the latest digs at Envestnet, the wealth management-based technology company.
Envestnet is very invested in the idea that the human or the expert plus machines, technology and data equal better outcomes. An outcome is a dream or aspiration is the financial goal that a person has.
So to say that you're an expert in the area of the intersection of finance and technology is a little bit of an understatement. You're an author, you've got this incredible company. What do you think the future looks like when it comes to money, technology in this industry?
The technology will become so useful that it becomes an undeniable thing. You look at other areas where technology has become the way, your reflex to do something, whether it's to get a car or to get an airline ticket or to do all these different things, you're using your technology to do it. Financial services is going to be the same way.
Well, most people don't think about technology and money. I mean, we think technology, we think rockets and robots and things like that. So can you break down for me a little bit about where technology works its way into the finance industry and what that means for a consumer like me?
Part of your brain is working on how much money do I have to spend, and part of your brain is working on how much money do I need to invest to retire or to buy a new home or whatever goal or aspiration you have. It's really hard to put those pieces together. That's where the magic of technology begins to work. It begins to work for you, bringing the data around what you're spending versus what you're saving and investing. And then those two things influence each other to hopefully get you on a path towards your financial goals.
Now, do you think that at some point this is going to be completely automated, sort of all AI-led? Like, is the human going to go out of the equation?
No, I think technology is going to play a bigger and bigger role, but if it doesn't have empathy, it doesn't have emotion, it does not have a sentimentality or an experience that a human does. To me, the greatest environment is when you bring together a human, an expert, with really powerful technology, and bring that together for the consumer who's now better informed and has an experience that is both digital, but the really important human part of that. What do I do? That's an important question. What do I do? Well, the machine's not going to tell you that. The person's going to help tell you that. Financial advisors, both a therapist, they understand you emotionally, they're an expert in markets and the way to invest, but they're merging to become real technology experts as well, to introduce technologies to you, the consumer, in ways that integrate your financial lives so that you can achieve your financial goals.
I've got a bunch of questions about working with a financial advisor.
I figured.
I know how to balance a budget. I've been balancing my checkbook for years, but why should I work with a finance advisor? Can't I just go onto Yahoo Finance? There's a lot of technology out there, a lot of information, and kind of do it all myself.
You could, okay? And there are a lot of people who are skeptical about our profession. All of the technology is great. It'll be of great assistance to you.
Yeah.
But the technology cannot answer what I call first-order questions. A first-order question would be, how are you going to educate your child? When do you think you might retire? I hope you don't have to parent a parent, but what happens if you do? And so technology can help advisors work more efficiently with clients, but technology cannot answer those first-order questions. The market goes down. Okay, it'll go down from time to time. But if people are upset or panicked about it, that's when an advisor should be a first call. And so with technology, they can look at their account, I can be looking at their account at the same time, and we can discuss what's going on.
How have you seen the role of technology change in the way that advisors work with their clients?
Significantly. I've been doing this for quite some time, and that's my gray hair.
I thought that was just the trouble your clients were giving you.
No. But back in the day, there really wasn't a lot of technology. Now there's technology that comes from all sides. There's applications that can do asset allocation for you, applications that can do financial planning for you. There's applications that teach you how to run applications, okay? So there's lots of stuff out there. It's the role of an advisor to pick those things of that huge menu that are best and easiest to use for ourselves and also for our clients.
So we want artificial intelligence combined with advisor intelligence.
Exactly. That's where the link with an advisor comes in. Technology makes my job much easier from a communications perspective, from a data perspective. I can be on vacation and look at their account in real time like they can. Technology allows big data to be democratized, and that's good for everybody.
Everyone has different comfort levels and even some quirks when it comes to financial stability. My boss, George, very successful, but as he likes to say, he is not comfortable unless he's got a pocket full of Benjamins. Should I be worried about him?
If this is the biggest problem that your boss, George, has in his life, he's in pretty good shape.
Very good point. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk. I really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thanks for having me.
Blake, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I have been told that you can give me a really great demo of the client portal. I've been hearing a lot about the technology. I'm excited to see it in action.
Absolutely, I'm excited to show you. So the easiest way to get started is by adding your accounts into the system by simply entering your username and passwords from any financial site that you have. What the system does with that is it goes and pulls all of your transactional data, your balances, the names of your accounts, all of that important information that you usually have to check on 6 different sites, and it organizes it for you in one place. It then runs lots of analysis behind the scenes on it to give you some really good insight into what's going on in those accounts and what that means for you day to day, month to month throughout the year. So as you see on our front page here, you're automatically getting a budget for yourself to know how much you've taken in for income, know how much you've spent for this month, and then you're also seeing the categories that you've spent that money in. But we can pull all of that information through and give you things like how are my accounts performing, how am I allocated across different asset classes, am I making money on these accounts?
That is always the question, isn't it?
That's right. And then how are they associated to my goals? What's a longer-term financial goal that you have?
Well, let's see. Right now I'm thinking about buying a new car.
Excellent. So as you see here, we can name this Tesla.
Yes, we could name it Tesla.
All right. We can put in the amount. The system will do some analysis and tell you what you need, how long it's going to take you to achieve that goal, and what you need to save to get there. And then it'll give you some options to open up accounts and invest in this particular goal to make it more achievable or help you to achieve it sooner. Another way that the system will help you is it will help you with trade-off scenarios. Maybe that Tesla is not the most important goal, but a secondary goal to buying a new house. You can consider, if I wait longer to buy the house or wait longer to buy the car, how is that going to impact both of the goals? And the system will give you real-time updated output.
Oh, cool. Now, just to be really clear, this is not like a piece of software that I can, pick off the shelf or, click online and download, right?
No, this is a piece of software that's really meant as an extension of a financial advisor's practice.
Okay.
It's meant to act as your companion and the advisor's companion. The good news is we work with 70,000 financial advisors, some of the world's largest financial institution. So there's a good chance that they're already using the software and can provide it to you.
Excellent. In fact, I'd imagine that if you are in the market for a financial advisor, checking in to see if they're using this kind of technology would be a really good benchmark for how current they are, whether they're the right advisor for you.
That's a great point. You want your financial advisor to be right for you. So if you're a tech-savvy user, you want to check with them and see if they're the same type of financial advisor. And if not, maybe give them a little encouragement because technology can be everybody's friend.
Yeah, well, we're definitely in agreement on that.
So Tamara, where's money going?
Mine is going to utilities, car insurance, health insurance, rent, ballet lessons.
Ballet lessons? I didn't know that about you.
No, not me. That would be for my daughter. But I'll stop dancing around the issue. You did not mean my personal budget. You want to know what I discovered on my trip about financial wellness, and technology.
That's right, Tamara. I'm trying to figure out if I can stick with my old routine or am I gonna have to learn a whole new one?
Well, I talked to the folks at FICO, PNC, and InvestNet about this, and it seems like some things are gonna stay the same, others are gonna change. The right relationship with a financial advisor has always been important, and that's not gonna change. But if you're not as comfortable with digital financial tools, it's that much more important to find a financial advisor who is and can guide you through it.
And what about AI?
Well, I knew that AI was key in fighting consumer fraud, and it turns out that the speed at which AI can learn is really important when it comes to evolving payment platforms. However, what I didn't know is that it's actually being deployed on a global level to deal with financial crimes like money laundering. So, when you put together AI, the right financial advisor, new digital tools, ultimately people should feel better and smarter about how they're handling their money.
Perfect. Because that's exactly how I'd like people to feel when they come to the park.
Well, if people are feeling more confident about their financial situation, chances are they'll want to take more vacations, right? And that is better for business.
It definitely is.
All right, George, so how are you feeling about cash now? Do you still think there's a need for it?
Well, I think I'll be carrying the Benjamins for quite some time yet. But, let's get prepared. And, we want to be digital, I think, for our guests.
I like the flexibility. I'm glad you're open to new ideas.
I am open to new ideas. And what do you think about robots?
I actually think about them a lot. But it depends on whether you're talking Skynet or Roomba. One wants to take over humanity, the other just wants to take over your living room. But as far as this guy's concerned, I have no worries. I know he's got our best interests in mind. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.